Okay, people. So today I am joined by Michael Pickle to talk about his brand new film, The Dead Place. Michael, welcome to the podcast, man. Thank you for your time. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on. A lot of things going crazy with the release finally coming up. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long, hard road, but we're finally there, ready to release it, and the anxiety's through the roof, but I'm excited.
Yes, this is your feature directorial debut, am I right?
Yep, this is my first feature. I've done tons of short films and music videos, and I did a TV show on Roku that was successful, but I filmed one feature film before, but it didn't end up getting released. There was a shady producer involved, so I wasn't able to
Oh,
release it. So this is my saving grace. I pulled this one out. This is my passion project I worked on from the beginning of my career. So I figured either go big or go home. So I took my biggest project, my biggest passion project, and jumped into it, and here we are.
yes. Um, yeah, I read that. Like, this is being 15, 18 years in the making, which is, yeah, definitely something there.
Yeah, I was actually a musician when I got the idea for the movie, and I went into a an asylum that was supposed to be haunted with a friend of mine and had this frightening experience when I got home. My my wife was my daughter had went to sleep in bed with my wife because I was out late, and then I got home, so I just went and slept in my daughter's bed, and I woke up in the morning and I was wide awake, and I could hear people talking around the bed. And when I closed my eyes, I could see people around, like I was laying on a table, and it was people around the table talking about me about how I should be committed. And when I tried to close my eyes and put it out of my head, I saw demons jump onto the bed with me. And
Yo.
then and then when I opened my eyes, the demons were still there. So it was this frightening experience. I figured it was either some kind of psychotic meltdown or it was something that followed me home from that asylum. I figured either way it was a frightening concept. So it put this idea in my head, and I quit my music career. I wrote the script day and night. It ended up being like a 150-page epic script that covered um, three entirely different themes. So then over the years, I kind of refined it, used my experience in the business to refine it, and I split it into a trilogy so I could explore each one of those themes in more depth.
Right. Okay. Okay. Oh, let's just give me a second, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. That's frightening as hell. Uh, now, what do you do because of that? Like, that's your daughter's room. Like, did you sell the house? Did you move? What did you do? Sage it up?
No, nothing like that happened after that. That's what really confuses me because if it was some kind of psychotic episode, something in my imagination, it looked like it would have been a recurring thing. But
Mm.
nothing like that ever happened like that after that.
Huh.
So and while we were in the asylum, we went it down into a basement area, and it was a sealed off concrete basement, so there was nowhere for animals to get in and out of. And there was some vicious growling down there. And I was so curious about it, I just descended the stairs and went down there where the growling was, and there was nothing down there. So
Okay.
there was some weird stuff going on while we were there at the asylum, but I don't know how much it has to do with the visions that I had or what. But I got a movie out of it.
Okay. So you hear growling in a closer place where there shouldn't be, and your first thought is, "Let me go and check that shit out."
Yeah. There's something in me. I don't know what it is. I've always been so curious about haunted places. And it's not like I don't get scared when I experience things like that. I do get scared, but something happens in me where my physical body goes towards something that I'm scared of. It's
Whew.
weird.
Yeah, nah. Nah, I'm not about that life, son. That's not me. Oh man, like just the thought of this, my whole thing is right, like trying any of these things like Ouija boards, going to haunted asylums and houses and just all of this malarkey. What happens if you get a response? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I'm just like, I don't want to open that door, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to explore, that possibility of what if those things that you're searching for, what if you found out one day they were real? What would you do, you know?
Whew. Uh-huh. Damn. Yeah. That's well, yeah, as you said, you've got a film out. Well, you got a trilogy out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we filmed this first one, and I did a rewrite on it with Steve Deering. He did rewrites on the he does something called script analysis, where he goes
Yeah.
through and he kind of gives you his expert analysis of, this character isn't developed enough, or maybe you should explore this theme a little more here. So he went through there. He did the John Wick films. He did Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman. So he
Mm,
did a lot of really good films. So once he rewrote it, it kind of lit a spark in me, and I was able to rewrite it in a way that I was really satisfied with, because I really want each film in the trilogy to stand on its own, as having its own beginning, middle, and end. So
right.
I
Right.
really wanted this first film, especially being the first film of the trilogy, I wanted it to have an impact. So
Mm,
after that rewrite, that's what really got my confidence up that this could be something that we could do on a low budget and from an independent filmmaker.
okay. I mean, when you were initially writing this, right? Because it's the first feature, what were your kind of thoughts, right? What was the driving force of this? You know what I mean? Like, was there a clear confidence that yes, I can do this thing?
Well, I didn't know I could do it going in. I had no idea I could write a script. I just had this idea that was so vivid in my head, and I started conjuring the characters up. And then once I got especially the main character, Isaac, once I could picture him in my head, the story kind of played out. And that's what really got me hooked on the filmmaking process, is when I was writing the script, is I got into such a zone that while I was writing a scene, there would be a character who would come in that I wouldn't think of. It would just come in my brain. It would just walk in the room and start saying things. And that's when I knew
Right,
I
right.
had tapped into some kind of creative energy. So I just rode with it. And I made amateur mistakes. I made it 150 pages long, and it was way too much for an independent filmmaker to film.
Mm,
That's another reason why later on I decided to split it into a trilogy. But it does explore three entirely different themes, but it follows these characters throughout the whole thing. So the first film is the journey to get to the dead place. So at the
yeah.
end of the first film, we get to the dead place, and then the second film would be explored once we get in the dead place, which is the asylum.
Right. Okay. I mean, I guess the thing being, right? Because I think whenever I've had to write anything, press releases, video scripts, just all of these different type of things, right? You're kind of putting all that information down, and even if it's too long, once you've got that idea, right, the kernel of what you want to say, I think it's always an easier job of them refining it down from that point, right? Did you
Yeah.
find that?
Yeah, like when I first wrote it, I had no limitations. I wasn't thinking about budget. I wanted this to be a project that I would do eventually. I wanted to direct it, but I knew I couldn't direct it myself as a first time filmmaker. So I just put all of my creativity into it, just my whole idea, and then I knew once I got it out that I would refine it and fine tune it.
Mm,
So so what I did once I finished writing it, I started my filmmaking journey with my short film Stab Awake, and that's a prequel to The Dead Place. So
right.
so there's an entity in The Dead Place that tries to take over the main character. So I made my first short film as the origin of that entity, like how he was first conjured. And that was
Okay.
all that came out all the way back in 2010, so it's been a long road.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Now, did that origin story come within the writing of the actual feature, or was that just a completely new idea that came to you after the point?
It was a completely new idea because in the dead place the entity already exists when he descends upon our main character. So I wanted my first short film to be one where I go back before that and show how it first came into this dimension. So I just came up with a whole new idea and just I took about 16 of my friends up to a cabin in the Sequoia National Forest, and there was only two actors in it. So bless them for coming along with us and and doing that with us. But no one had any experience. I kind of just threw it together just with blood, sweat, and tears, with anything I could possibly do. I learned a lot of lessons on that first one, and I'm still proud of how it came out. But but that was really a crash course in filmmaking right there. My first mistake was I made it 36 minutes long. So it's like
Ah.
almost half a feature. So that was my first mistake.
Well, I think, like technically, it's a story, right? So is it a mistake? But I think the thing with short films, and you probably found it, it's getting them into festivals, right? Because it's all about the time. And festivals don't necessarily always want to take a long short because that means, you know, where they might be able to fit 3 or 4 into that space, they've got this longer short, right? So that I would say that's probably the only big issue with 36 minutes. But otherwise, if you've got a story and you're telling it, it's all gravy.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the way it turned out. Like you said, really the only reason it was a mistake to make it that long is it couldn't get into festivals. I even talked to a couple of the larger festivals who said that that's the only reason that it didn't get in because they had two or three other filmmakers with short films. And they said, do we pick this guy's one short film or do we pick these other three
Mm.
filmmakers, you know?
Yes, it's definitely. I've done a little foray into kind of programming, and yeah, that is. I'd never really thought about like the time of things, right? Because you
Yeah,
just go, oh, that film's 2 hours. That short is 12 minutes. That one's 9, right? That film is
yeah,
80 minutes, and you're just like, huh, I wonder how they decide how long the film's gonna be. But then when you get into kind of programming for a festival, that's when time suddenly, becomes the big factor, and you kind of understand, oh, right. So a lot of people, that's how they're getting the time of whatever they're doing, because they're like, okay, if we want to try and get it into festivals, if we're trying to do this or that, right, it needs to be this long or this long.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, I think watching it, you know you can definitely see that you've got a love of horror films. You know what I mean? Because I think it's hitting a lot of tropes that you find in horror, but also, what I mean? I think one thing that a lot of horror fans do love is, how does someone become the thing, right? How does the big bad become the big bad, right? Just all of these things. We've seen the prequels, we've seen, like in other films, you get flashbacks and all of this. And so within the Dead Place, we kind of get that insight, right? So with, I guess, storytelling, what have always been the things that kind of fascinated you, that kind of inspired you to, want to tell stories, or just, gave you that love of cinema?
Well, I think it's just an extension of me being a writer, like just like when I was a musician and a lyricist. It's all an extension of me being a writer and wanting to tell stories and wanting to convey emotions.
Mm,
And I've always connected with the human side of horror, like what would people do if they were really put in these situations? And then when I put horror tropes in a movie, I want to put a human element to them where I'm not just setting up to show that trope. What I'm doing is setting up the human condition of what happened to this person to get to that point. And that's why it ended up having a lot of psychological and drama elements, where that was one of the reasons why we had a little bit of trouble getting distribution, because a lot of the distribution companies didn't know what to do with it, because it has this genre star in it that's from these over-the-top gory slasher films, and then we put them in a psychological drama horror film. So
mm.
a lot of the distributors did like the psychological horror, psychological and drama elements, but they said they were looking for something more just horror, where it's just, there's a place for those films. I love those films just as much as anybody, where there's just nonstop gore and there's always, set up scare. There's a place for those, but
Yeah.
that's not the type of film I want to make. I want to show the journey of the characters. So once the horror happens to them, you really feel it when it does happen to them.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's always kind of interesting. I definitely, I'm not necessarily a fan of like like torture porn, or like, just crazy slashing and just all of that kind of thing, like Event Horizon is one of my favorite films.
Mine too,
I,
mine
I,
too.
I yeah, and that's kind of this weird psychological sci-fi horror film, which is just, oh man, so good,
That
so good.
that's a perfect example that the horror isn't right in their faces, it's in their heads, and the
Mm.
the the evil crawls into their minds to manipulate them. And it's funny that you say that, because that was one of my big inspirations for The Dead Place. Just that evil incarnate, just to infiltrating the human condition.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about it, right, that is always the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I mean, when you just think about stories, right? Adam and Eve, the snake whispering to Adam, like, just with everything else, it's that voice at the end of the night just being like, oh, go on, just one more drink. Go on, have one
Yeah.
more drink. You know what I mean? Or just like, I mean, she's winking at you. Your girlfriend doesn't have to know. Go
Yeah.
on. Go on, Michael. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like there's always that voice, right? That kind of is the thing that's compelling you to maybe do something. And you're just like, nope, I'm going home, or nope, I'm not drinking. I'm not trying Coke. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. It's like just that conflict that I think people have in everyday life, just, but in this, it's like the evil entity, you've risen it to this bigger thing. But I think
Yeah.
everyone can kind of relate to, that struggle, as it
And
were.
then the stresses of everyday life get you down, and then that weakens your defenses, so it's harder to resist that voice that tells you to do the bad things. And that's kind of what happens in The Dead Place.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's choices, right? It's when people go, you know what? I really want that watch. Do I work and buy it a year down the line, or do I just go and take it now? You know what I mean? Like, oh, all my friends are doing drugs. Do I join them, or do I just stick to my principles and, say no? Right? It's just
Yeah.
always those kind of things that you ponder and you think about. Yeah, not
And what if that
always like, should I kill someone?
yeah. And what if that voice in your head was articulated and kind of really talking you into those things, you know?
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that I think that's always the thing people kind of ponder, right? Because technically that is that voice you, right? Your
Yeah.
subconscious, right? So it's just, you trying to convince yourself to do something. Like, it's not really cheating if you don't love them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, a line of coke, that's not that bad. There's worse things in life, right? I think,
Yeah.
depending on you, right, and the way you kind of break things down and articulate, right, that voice can get really kind of, wordy and elaborate. So it's just, that's the interesting thing about
And
it.
and that's how the entity manipulates the main character. He makes him think, he makes him doubt himself, like that is his voice. Because that's what I wanted the entity to be. It's played by Bill Burst Jr. I wanted the entity to be that voice. It's almost like an extension of that dark voice in your head, like, you're a piece of shit, you can't do this. Or, like you said, take that drink or take that little line of coke. Just it it makes you think that it's an extension of you, to the point where, and am I evil? You start questioning yourself, because at first he says, "No, I'm not evil," and then that voice convinces him that it's his own voice that's the evil. So he's convinces himself.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's definitely that kind of interesting dilemma, that is kind of, the root of so many stories, throughout
Yeah.
time, which is always a curious thing.
So then, on top of that, I wanted to add the extra manipulation. While this one entity is manipulating him inside of his head, what if another physical entity started showing itself to him, that was kind of the sidekick to the entity, was kept poking him. He just pokes him
Mm.
and say, listen to him, listen to that voice. So he's being bombarded by this evil influence on all sides.
Yeah. I think that's always the thing. And we come into this, and it's not right the beginning of Isaac's journey, as it were. He's been dealing with this thing for a good while now, right? So, you know you go like, oh, how worn down is he, right, at this point, right? What are the things? He's kind of a loner at school, right? His family don't necessarily believe him. So it's just those walls are very thin.
And his problem is somewhat innocent at first, because he sees spirits of the dead walking around, but uh they don't know how to communicate with him. They're kind of just approaching him, mumbling. So he's used to these disembodied spirits walking all around him. So when this entity attaches itself to him, it's completely foreign to him. So he's been through a lot of trauma with the spiritual world, but he'd never had a dark entity attach itself to him like this. So the reason the dark entity comes in, he loves finding this host that's that has dead souls attracted to him, because that way, if he latches onto this host, then those souls that are drawn to this host are also going to be drawn into him. So he's gonna be able to devour these other souls. So he's kind of taking advantage of what the main character's been through in many ways.
Yes. Yes. Now, when you're envisioning this, right? So you okay, so we're gonna have like ghosts and dead people in the film, right? So what was the because there's a big difference between them and then our new guy, right? And some of the others, right? So did you right away kind of go, okay, there needs to be this difference in these kind of entities? Or was that something that came later on in the process?
That came pretty much right away because I had the idea for the evil at first, and then I had the idea of how he was going to manipulate this person. So
Okay.
I knew the evil influence was going to be there. So I
Mm,
just had to figure out, and I knew I wanted the main character to be a strong character where it's he has these abilities, but it's also very hard to get in his head because of what he's been through. He has a strong will. So he has these bullies at school who try to bully him, but he's not the kind of person to be bullied.
yes.
And then
Yeah.
you have the entity which he manipulates the entire situation. He shows uh Isaac things that he tells the things Isaac things that the bullies aren't doing. And I don't know if you noticed in a couple scenes he kind of puts things in the bully's head, making them think that Isaac is doing things wrong.
Mm.
So in the line is blurred on who's right and who's wrong and whether these people are really bullies or not. They're just feeling threatened by this main character.
Yeah. A bit like I guess in Karate Kid, right? Because
Yeah.
Daniel's the new kid, but he's kind of hitting on someone else's girlfriend. So really, Daniel's a piece of shit that started
Yeah.
it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny you should say that too. I had that in mind with the bullies and with the bullies chasing after him and stuff, and that's why one of the characters has a skull shirt on, like he's dressed like
Oh
a
right,
skull, like in the
yeah,
Karate Kid.
yeah,
That's cool that you picked up on that. I like that.
yeah. Oh man, I mean, one thing that you see a lot with horror is like it's a springboard for actors, right? And within your film, right, you've given some kind of new people opportunities to kind of, shine, right? So with this casting process, what were you kind of thinking? Because, obviously you've got some horror, glitterati in here, right? So when you're writing, did you kind of get a vision of what these characters look like? Were you just doing a casting calls and you're just like, no, this person is, they just jump out, right? Their portrayal, man, that's the person. Like, how did you kind of key into the cast and then get some of these heavyweights involved?
I didn't want to get character actors and have them play a character. I wanted to get actors that felt like those people because I had the personality of the characters firmly set in my mind.
Right.
The I had a bit of a vision of what their style was like, but I didn't have a vision of what the, color or nationality or anything that they were. I just pictured the type of people that they are and their personalities. And then when I approached the casting process, that was the most important part for me. I'm like, because I knew that I was going to have a too low of a budget. So the main thing that I wanted to get right was a cast to sell the script. I wanted the cast to make that script come to life.
Yeah.
So what I did in the casting process is I didn't care what accents they had, what color they were, or anything. I just looked for the people who fit the personality of that character the most. And the ones that in that little audition tape, then they tapped into what that character was all about. And if I felt that while I was in the audition, then I picked that person. I didn't care if they were across country and I had to fly them here. I didn't care if they'd never done a feature film. I didn't care if they'd done 200. So I ended up picking, you know, genre actors like Bill Oberst Jr. has been like 200 movies. And then David Howard Thornton, which is a big star that's in the Terrifier movies, and he has this whole background in theater. But then I have them star alongside Idris Veliu, which is this is his first feature film, and Lexi Graves, it's her first starring role. So,
Mm.
and I just went by just purely by instinct, and I was lucky enough to get on set, and my instinct was right, and they really connected with the characters, and just really showed major talent on screen, and especially the main character played by Idris Veliu. He just came to life on screen. Everybody talks about how great his performance is as for such a young actor.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's like that interesting mix, right? And with someone like David, because as you say, this is his first kind of speaking role. What was it about, him that you thought he could carry something like this? Because, not hearing him, speak or play a character like that.
Well, I was actually thinking about posting that. I have the moment where this happened on video because uh, we're my fellow producer and I, we were doing a podcast called Ghostman Rivera's Horror Show, and we did it as an extension of the horror variety show that I had. And we had we were looking for stars to be on the podcast, and David Howard Thornton had done Terrifier, and he had filmed Terrifier 2, but it wasn't out yet. So
Okay.
he was nice enough to come on to our little podcast, even though we didn't have a huge following. He was nice enough to come on there, and when he was on there, I had the epiphany while I was talking to him, because he was talking about how he had this theater background, and that he had played the Joker before, and I couldn't believe that a guy that became famous as a mute clown had such a theatrical background. So it just popped in my head while we were talking to him. I said, "Oh my God, I have a script with a character that would be perfect for you." And he said, "Oh, you should show it to me sometime." So I slowly started writing him on Facebook. I started with uh, introducing the idea of what the movie was about. I told him a little bit about the character, and he was intrigued. So I sent him a full scene. He liked that. So he read the script, and he said, "We'll talk to my manager and see if you can get her to agree to it. But we'll do it." So it's all history after that.
Like, did was there a lot of convincing with the manager, or were they just kind of after reading the script, but just like, let's do it.
It was not that I had to convince them, it's kinda had to chase them a little bit.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't answer my emails at first, but I was persistent without bugging them too much.
Mm.
And then I finally did the same thing as I did with David. I got got 'em on the line, and I intrigued them a little bit with this being such a big speaking role for David, and it being such a big, villain role, and the possibility of him maybe becoming an icon again for a second character. So they just like the idea of David playing more of a Freddy Krueger type character where he speaks a lot, because they
Yeah.
wanted to kind of open up that end of his career for him, and I hope it will.
Mm. Yeah, because I think people will know him as a performer, right? But not with the speaking. So yeah, once you've got something to show your ability, yeah, then that's probably gonna, open up a whole heap of different opportunities, kind of thing. So it makes sense for someone like that to, gravitate to a role like this. you know.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for them that obviously, they're not necessarily getting because they've done the other thing so well.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now, because you've got like this mix of veterans and then you've got new people on set, right? What was the kind of thing that you utilized to kind of get your cast right into the right mood? Do you sit down, have discussions with them? Do you give them kind of like source material and be like, yo, I think your character, I think if you watch these films or read these books, that will give you a kind of, a little vibe of what I'm looking for with this character? Do you give them playlists to listen to? What's your kind of thing to try and get the character, your actors ready?
Well, leading up to production, I would write them back and forth a lot and talk to them on the phone and talk to them about different aspects of their character, whether it be wardrobe or their mannerisms or like with David's the new kid, I told him that he was a wisecracking guy from New York who has a lot of unearned confidence. Like he's confident and he thinks he's the greatest guy in the world, but he's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and then I would just give him, little paragraphs of what the characters are all about. And that so then by the time we got on set, they had a pretty good idea of how they wanted to play the character. And then I was lucky enough because I had veterans mixed with the new stars, they kind of took them under their wing and they kind of loved mentoring them. And then the young actors love being mentored by these
Mm.
more experienced people. So it
Oh,
ended
that's
up being
nice.
a great balance. And just the way I like to keep my sets is I want them to be loving and very collaborative. Like everybody has a voice on my sets, and I
Mm.
try not to dismiss anybody. So I try to take time to listen to everybody's ideas. And sometimes I show that, if I'm not going to use the idea, I explain it to them, why I'm not going to use it. But I usually end up using people's ideas, even if I object to it at first.
Uh-huh. Okay. No, I think that's always right because it's about creating that environment where everyone just feels comfortable. And when you're feeling comfortable, you're able to just be free and just let those creative juices really flow. So, you know what I mean? Whatever gets it done, right? So, I think that's very important.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also good that, you had like these vets who were down for mentoring, and helping out like the newer cast members because you don't always get that, right? Some people
yeah.
want to be closed off, they want to, focus, get into their zone. So they don't want all of that other noise, right? So the fact that these people were just open. Oh, that's so helpful. And like your first feature, you know what I mean? The fact that you were able to get that and not any of this other craziness, that was just extremely lucky.
Yeah, I got very lucky to get a star like David that was so humble and such a delight to have on set because he was playing this diabolical evil character that was really creepy and skeevy on screen. But then when I'd yell cut, he would just turn into this big goofball and he'd be standing up in front of the set telling them stories and making them laugh and he always kept the mood very light. And then I'd have other veterans like Tasha Lee Moth. She was our prop master and she does like prop master on the Star Trek and the Ted movies. So she done a lot of big movies. So
Mm.
she loves to come to little scrappy little indies like ours and work on there. So she was there kind of mentoring everybody. So I was really lucky to have some veterans both on the crew and in the cast to kind of keep everything light and not too much pressure because the the schedule is really grueling. Like we lost our first DP, first camera woman, because the schedule just got too scary for her. Just she just felt like she couldn't do her best work with that run and gun type of thing because it was only 12 days shooting, you know,
Oh, right.
multiple locations, multiple characters.
Yeah. 12 days, not a, you know what I mean, a lot to kind of mess with, right? So you've got to be
No.
very tight. You've got to be very precise on what you're doing.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 takes is the most we ever did on anything.
Right. And with something like this, what was the process? Do you storyboard? Like how were you breaking down, you know, your scenes and so you
Well,
knew what you needed?
that was the scariest thing about this. You know, I just told you that we lost our DP at the last minute. I had been working with her for weeks, hours upon hours, working on a shot list, and she had it in her possession. So it was like a week before production, she bailed, and we had to get another. So there was no time to do another shot list. I was too busy taking care of all the last minute post-production things. So I went into this thing with no shot list. I could not. That's what I usually do. I
Oh,
usually storyboard and shot list every single shot to where I
mm.
know what I'm doing. I kind of had to fly by the seat of my pants on this, and I'm just so lucky that it ended up coming out as well as it did because I had no guide on set. All I had was the script that I would every night before I come into production the next day, I would divide the script into scenes, and I would put any kind of notes that I could uh, to have some kind of structure going in. But that was very scary going into my first big feature with no shot list.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, that's not necessarily the thing you want for your
No,
debut feature. God damn it, Michael.
exactly.
I mean, like, I'd have thought that, you know what I mean, sure, you would have sent through the shot list to be like, look, I don't feel comfortable doing this, but hey, look, we worked on this, so here you go. Like, damn.
I probably would not have been able to do that if it wasn't a script that I had labored over for years and years.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bonus, I guess, from having a project that has been percolating in your head for so long that it's kind of now in your DNA. You know exactly, right? So, boom, let's do this, and we can go to this, and you don't have to kind of flick through pages and be like, oh, what pages, you know. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of luck.
And there was some shots and some coverage that I would have liked to have, but you know, we worked with what we had the best we could, and I think it came out pretty good.
Mm. Man, no, that's one hell of a feat, man. Like, hats off to you. You know, you got
Thank you.
it done, man. You got it done. That, but hey, on the final day, that must have felt like such a relief.
Oh yeah.
But that's not it, though, is it? Right? So you've finished shooting. Now you've got to edit it, right? So what was that process like?
The initial editing process was pretty fun when I got with our editor Melanie Mayumi, and when we first put together the first assembly cut, that was really fun. There was some challenges in there where things where we wish we'd have had more coverage, but
Mm,
you know, I wish we'd have had more coverage, but we didn't have time anyway. So
yeah.
if I would have got the coverage I needed, I probably wouldn't have gotten everything. So so we kind of labored over it and put it together, and we took some scenes and just went over them with a fine-tooth comb and cut everything we could. So what we have right now is kind of really streamlined, where it kind of just goes through beat to beat to beat. And then I like to treat my dialogue scenes like action scenes, the way I cut them. So I want it to really be driving forward as we're in the dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
So we kind of put all that together, and once we had the assembly cut together, we sent it to another person to do color correction. So it wouldn't match our a lot of our cuts. We did a lot of creative cuts, a lot of slow-mos, a lot of stuff like that, a lot of punching in to the footage and punching in close. So all the transitions and stuff we did was put into his program, and it kind of screwed up the whole
Oh,
thing. You know, we missed. There was no transitions on certain spots. Certain spots were uh, takes would go on too long. Some of them where they were cut short. So we were forced to try to edit it again, and things got kind of messed up. And then that guy kind of got frustrated with the whole process and washed his hands of it. So
oh, damn.
we had to transport it to another person to finish it. So it that was another nightmare in itself.
Yeah, no, that sounds it, man. Like, what was the thing that just kept you persevering? Like, look, losing a cinematographer, losing an editor, like these are hurdles that could have someone go, yeah, it's done. We are
Yeah.
done. You know what I mean? So, what was the thing that just kept you going?
Well, I felt it was like it was a do or die situation, because when I went through a couple things right before I made this, where I made a TV show and it got 2 million viewers, and then I didn't get a dime from it. And
Oh,
then I did the feature film for $4,000, and then it was taken away from me, and I couldn't release it. So I was I had a bit of a breakdown, and I was
mm,
seriously thinking about leaving the business, because I was like, this I'm trying to force my way into business that doesn't want me here. It's nothing but heartache. I'm doing nothing but being ripped off and disrespected. So I was about to walk away from the business. So I figured, okay, I'm either going to walk away, or I'm going to do the biggest project of my career, and go big or go home. So I really felt like everything was on the line with this one. So I felt like I couldn't quit,
yeah.
or my career and essentially my life was over. So I was really dramatic about it. And I'm
Hey,
still very
whatever.
dramatic about it because it's very close to my heart. So
Hey, well, whatever gets it done, right? Whatever you need to tell yourself to kind of push yourself across that line. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter as long as the end goal is the end goal, right?
yeah.
But because you came from music, so how much of that helped you with this? Now, obviously, you've got the songwriting, right? Helps with the screenwriting because it's all storytelling, but with processes, because we know the music industry can be shady as a motherfucker, right? So
Yeah.
it's that, and then coming into film and using those experiences to help mitigate some of this stuff within the film. So, like, did you find a lot of crossover from music to film? Like, was it a useful, foundation?
Well, the big thing is like I was told that it's very much a rock and roll type of horror film, where it's very, very infused with music. So I think that's something that's kind of ingrained in my filmmaking process, is that uh, I have an idea in my head that I want the music to set the mood. So
Mm,
that's where my music background came in, and then I was able to get really talented musicians involved, especially Will Love. He's the composer, and he's got this band Sabrosa Purr, where I first saw them open up for 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto's band, back in 2005, I think it was. But I fell in love with his band. The the opening sequence has the opening title song is called "Closer" by Sabrosa Purr. That's been one of my favorite songs for years. So I was able to go to that old connection, and actually, the way it started is I was looking for a composer for the film, and the composer of Child's Play, the original Child's Play, reached out to me, and he
Oh,
said,
damn.
I'd like this to be my next project." So I showed him the movie, and it had the music, but it didn't have the score yet.
Mm.
So he watched it, and he said, "I actually really enjoyed the film, but he said this is more of a rock and roll type of film." He said, "I'm more of a traditional composer." So he said, "I would suggest," he said, "that band that you have in there, Sabrosa Purr," he said, "they're very good." And he said, their music really sets the mood for your scene." So he said, "I would suggest going to the singer and asking if he'd ever done any score work and possibly get him to do the score." So I went to Will, and just the light bulbs went off in my head. I said, "Of course. Of course. If I'm doing such a project as close to my heart, why not go back to my music roots and get this person that I'm such a huge fan of and see if he's willing to do the score?" So I called him up, and he said, "Michael, this is meant to be." He said, "You're not going to believe this." He said, "But during COVID, I experimented with some musical score." So he said, "Here's a
Mm.
little piece of it." And he showed it to me, and it was absolutely perfect. So it seemed like it was written in the stars for him to be the composer. So that ended up being a big part of the movie, and kind of what ties all the other elements together is that really cohesive score, and then those three songs by Sabrosa Purr in there that really drives the narrative forward.
Oh, damn. Like, that's really because, I think sometimes people, you know, they want to do a thing, right? So they'll try and force a triangle into a square. But to have someone go, you know what? I think you should do this, because they're now losing a project,
Yeah.
right? But it's the integrity of the art, right? The thing of going, you know what? I could do something, but I think what would really work is this. That is such a great thing for that person to do, which and as I say, it kind of bleeds into, right, right? The things that you love, the things that you grew up on, like all coming and merging into your first feature, which just seems like a perfect situation.
Yeah, and normally I would have been devastated that I lost the composer of Child's Play. So I had my heart set on it that he was going to do the score. But just when he came to me with that idea, it just I just, of course, I had this epiphany. Of course, Will Love should do the score.
Mm, yeah, no, that's good. That's man, so serendipitous. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But now here's the thing though, right? Having the person that scores Child's Play, because that's such a big film, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And then you've got, like, David, who's Art the Clown, and some of these other great horror, personalities. Was there any, thought that maybe people might just see them as their previous iterations, right? That it could detract from what you're doing.
Well, that's why I love that he had a theater background, because I knew that he could kind of step into that character. And he had his own process too of how he wanted to make the character different from any of his others. Like he said that he looked at Art the Clown as like a vulture who is kind of looking over dead carcasses and kind of swooping in to pick the bones.
Right.
Where he said when he did the new kid, he treated the new kid like he was a jackal stalking his prey.
Mm.
And you can, if knowing that, you can kind of see it in his mannerisms and how he changed it from art.
Okay, yeah. You saying Jackal? Yes, that does. You know, after watching a whole heap of David Attenborough and other things, that you just instantly think Jackal. Oh yeah, that's what they do. Yes, it does definitely fit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I
Interesting.
think that's how he differentiates his characters. He figures out how what original approach can I take to this one.
Mm. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. Haha. Now, with this, because it's a trilogy, so when you're kind of talking to cast and crew and everyone involved, right? Is it like, because that might seem a bit daunting. You know what I mean? Like being like, oh yeah, I've got a 12-day shoot. Yeah, I can fit that in. But
Yeah.
then being like, oh, and we're probably gonna come back and do like these next, being like, will I have time? Right? Uh, was everyone like automatically down for a trilogy, or did you have to kind of, you know, talk people into the idea of being tied into this whole larger thing?
Well, pretty much everybody was excited at the prospect of it being a trilogy. And then also I did a thing where I hope they won't betray my trust, but I took all the main characters and I took them aside and I gave them little pieces of what's going to happen in part 2 and 3
Right.
to really get them excited. So there's really some stuff coming up in 2 or 3 that these characters are really going to be able to sink their teeth into. So I think
Mhm.
that's what really got them excited, and they love the just like the crazy ambition of someone like me jumping into this, with getting our own funding and everything, and just trying to do a trilogy on such a small scale, and they just like the audacity of it.
Oh man, well that's great that everyone is down for it all, because sometimes you have like trilogies and series, and suddenly a character has changed, but no one's talking about it, and you're like,
Yeah.
I swear that person looks different. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? But there used to be this show. Oh gosh, I think the actual title was like Robin of Sherwood. It was like a Robin Hood series in the
Okay.
80s. And oh god, I think it was like Michael London. Michael London, I think that sounds right. Was I might have this all wrong. But essentially, like the guy that played Robin at first had black hair. And
Oh.
then I think after, I think maybe season 2 or 3, maybe 4, like the Robin character changed, and now he's got blonde hair. And but it's not like brought up. There's not this kind of way why he might look slightly different or anything. It's just like, that's Robin now, and you're like,
Yeah.
huh.
Well, I have my fingers crossed that that won't happen. Nobody's actually contractually obligated to do 2 and 3. I'm just hoping everything will go right while I'll be able to get the cast back.
Well, I mean, it does look like everyone had a blast. So I think, you know what I mean? If you've had so much fun, and especially, I guess, when something is your launch pad, right? This thing gave you the opportunities, right? It helped you do things that you weren't getting up to that point. I think there's an attachment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I imagine people would be like, nah, man, like, yo, that dude helped me. That dude gave me the opportunity. So of course I'm gonna, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
hopefully.
they see me fighting tooth and nail to get it out there.
Mm,
So hopefully they'll want to fight
yes.
for it too.
Yeah. hopefully, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you want to believe that people are inherently good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and we've had the issues, right? We've had the editing, the cinematography. So I mean, now it should be like plain sailing. It should all be good now going forward.
Yeah. But the pressure is now, the fate of the trilogy kind of rests in the fans. So if
Yes.
if this comes out and they don't really respond to it like I hope they would, then I'll never make 2 and 3. But if it comes out and they respond to it well, I'm going to jump right into part 2.
Well, I think sometimes it's just because there's been so many things that at launch it didn't quite catch fire, right? But after a little bit, it did. It started to resonate. So sometimes, right, you might look and think, we're not having the views right now. We're not having there's a lot of things grabbing people's attention. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like sometimes it's just weathering it out, right? It's just giving it a little moment to catch,
Yeah.
and then you're off to the races,
Well, and at heart, I'm a cult filmmaker. I want to make cult films. I want to make films for a small rabid audience. That I don't want to be a studio filmmaker who's making, you know, movies with millions of dollars budget. I want to make smaller budget movies where, you know, th- a lot of the mainstream fans don't love it, but some of the genre fans, like a small group of genre fans, love it, and it's one of their favorites. That's
Mm,
my dream, is to have something where a group of people just adore it and it inspires them and they show it to their friends, and they watch it over and over. I want to make movies like that for a little small group of people rather than the masses.
mm. But I think it's the thing, right? How?
Yeah,
Because, like, I come from a comms background, and you go into meetings, and people will say to you, yeah, can you make our video viral? And you're just like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know, right?
yeah,
Like, if you give me the space to be able to do the vision, who knows, right? But if you handcuff me, right, and give
yeah,
me crazy restrictions, then it's probably not going to do shit, right? But you can
exactly.
never truly go, this thing is going to be this, because there's so many, right, projects that you think, oh, that should be huge. And
Yeah,
then, like, I don't know if you saw it, but Tron Ares, I thought Tron Ares was pretty great. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, like supposedly it didn't really catch fire, but I felt it was a complete story. I thought they did some different things. I thought it was a lot of fun. But
yeah,
you know, for whatever reason, I think sometimes it's the marketing of things. You know, I
yeah,
think it's letting people know what they've got. And I guess with a third film, people might think, do I need to go back and watch the 80s one? Like, can I come in and just watch it and get it? Right. So sometimes it's a baggage thing, but I just think with these things, it's about letting people know why they should give a damn,
yeah,
right? It's introducing them to like these new characters, these new big bads, right? This new world, right? Getting them invested in it. And once you have that hook, boom,
yeah.
you're all good.
Look at that new Curry Barker film, Obsession. Who knew that would hit like it did? $750,000 budget, but it's making millions of dollars at the theater. People are flocking to it.
Yeah. Which is thing. I mean, I what I didn't really get it. It didn't vibe with me.
No?
But I'm in the screen and everyone's loving it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think that's always the thing. It's just like, just because something isn't necessarily for you doesn't mean it's not for everyone else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, but it's just small budget and people are digging it. You know what I mean? I think I saw something the other day saying it went up 26% in its second week.
Oh yeah.
Right. And usually you see a drop off in the second week and you just hope it's not a big drop off. But this one, it went up. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, it's just, you never know. Right. You just never
Yeah.
know with certain things.
And I love that a movie like that, a small, independent, low budget horror film is coming up, and it's the horror film of the hour right now when mine's about to come out. Because over the years, I always wondered what's going to be the horror film of the moment when mine comes out. What am I going to share the spotlight with? So it's great that just so happens to be a little indie film.
Well, I guess that the good thing about that as well is people are like, well, I gave that small indie a chance and loved it. So yeah, let me give some other indies a chance. Because, you know, I think sometimes people look at these things and just go, okay, what have the big studios got?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like when I'm looking for something to watch, oh, big name actors, big studios, what is there? You know, and so if they see a title of something, they might be like, oh, what's that? And then go, I don't recognize the director. What's the studio? Nah, I don't know the
Yeah.
studio. All right, let's just move on. Let's check something else out. But after checking out something like Obsession and going, loved it, I think it does kind of open the door for other small titles to
Yeah.
get, you know, that opportunity, that little time to shine, maybe.
And then plus we're coming off of the Terrifier movies becoming a big indie horror darling, you know? They set new precedents for the theater going experience. I mean, these little films, I mean, the first Terrifier film was $35,000 budget. And
Damn.
then now they're making part 4 and they're making tons of money.
Mm. Yeah, I've not watched those films. Um, were they big from the jump, or was it a kind of thing over time that fans kind of came to them?
They kind of built a small following off the first one, and it's the second when the second one came out, that's when it really hit because the
Right.
second one was kind of funded by the fans. So the first one was $35,000 budget, and then the fans loved it so much that they raised a $250,000 budget for the second one,
Nice.
and then it just went up from there. And I don't know if you noticed, but uh, movies in the theater got much gorier after that. So now after the Terrifier movies, you got movies like Substance being one of the biggest movies of last year and winning Academy Awards. So
Mm,
I think that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the little indie Terrifier movies setting a new precedent for what was allowed in theaters, and that they were able to release an unrated movie in theater chains.
mm.
So it's good that I'm coming up with these scrappy little indies that are changing things.
Yeah. No, because I know when Terrifier 3 came out, a lot of the publicists and people I work with, right? I was getting hit up about Terrifier 3, and it was just like, I mean, if I cover that, it kind of means I need to go back and watch the first two. I don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah.
love horror. I do not love horror. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So it's just like if I'm watching a horror, I'm watching it during the day, right? I'm just a bit like, yo, you know what I mean? So it's just like I'm thinking, like, God damn it, I've got to go back and watch two other really scary films. Damn, I don't want to do that to myself. Oh man, yeah, it's just I don't know, but it's one of those funny things, right? There's genres that I don't, they're not my favorite, but there's always films within them that I really did dig. You know what I mean? Like rom-coms.
Oh yeah.
There's so many dreadful rom-coms, but there's rom-coms that I really, really enjoyed. Like Rye Lane from a few years ago. Thought that was great, right? I loved like Juno and
Oh yeah, that's good.
Knocked Up and
Crazy Stupid Love.
oh man, that's so good.
It's
That's
a great
so
one.
good, right? So there's all these films about time. Oh, there was a film Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Is it something? Oh my god, it's really frigging good. I cannot think of the name. God damn it. I'm gonna think of the name at 1 a.m. I'll be like, that's what it's called, right? But that's a great film. So it's just like there's these films that I really enjoy. So it's just like you never shut the door on these things. And like with horror, there's some great horror. Like there was this film, and like the Shudder people sent it across to me is oh my god, it begins with something C hour, something god damn it. This is terrible. I can't think of it. But it was this whole thing about like this exorcism and like, is it fake? Is it real? But then suddenly it's real. And it was just like, oh man, it was really well done. Like the Addams Family. Oh man, they make some great friggin' horror films, right? Their
Oh yeah.
last one, my memory is just really shitting on me right now.
Is that Where the Devil Roams, right?
um that was a film before. They had
Oh,
one last year. Oh god, I talked to them about
was it
for all their films, and my mind's gone.
Mother of
Mother of
Flies?
Flies,
Flies,
yes.
yeah.
Thank you,
There we go.
Michael. That's great. Like their films are so good. You know what I mean? So there's always like these horrors that just really work, right? So it's just like sometimes you get sent these things, and you're just like, I should watch it. Like I
Those
should watch it because it could be a good one, but it's just like,
that's
damn it.
that's some of my most recent inspiration is the Addams Family. And the dad was supposed to play the dad in The Dead Place, John Adams. We're
Ah,
in talks with him, and he's another one that did the same thing as the Child's Play composer did. He came and he looked at the script and he loved it and he wanted to do it, but he told me one day, he said, "You know what? Because I had to fly him here. He was in another state,
mm.
so I would have to fly him here." And he said, "Michael," he said, "you're gonna have to fly me there, and you have to put me up in a hotel and anything. That's gonna be extra expense for you." And he said, "I'm not good enough for this role." He said, "This role needs to be given to an actor who's much better at dramatic roles than I am." So I thought that was really nice of him, and he was really an inspiration through the whole process. That telling me how much he liked the script and how much he got into the character, and just him willing to give up the character because he wanted a better actor in that role was really a stand-up thing for him to do.
John is great, man. Just all of them, man. That whole family is just tremendous. You know what
And
I mean?
that's the type,
Toby, Zelda,
yeah,
he just everyone is fantastic.
and that's the type of movies I want to make. Just pure imagination, and you know, not a bunch of stars or anything, just good stories,
Mm.
good storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like as I said, it was watching this, it was clear that you do love horror, right? So it's just I think when you ingest so much stuff, right? You have so much stuff as reference points, and you understand story and just all of these things, right? It's going to bleed into what you do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's going to help you find your voice and develop as a storyteller yourself. So it's just, yeah, it's great that you decided to you know make this feature. So you are screening on Bloodstream, which that's a great platform, right? Bloodstream. So
Yeah.
you're jumping on that on the first, but then you've got your red carpet premiere on the 10th, which is that should be a lot of fun, right? Are you and the cast doing a Q&A after the film?
Yep, me and David Howard Thornton and Idris Veliu is going to be there. The one that plays the main character, Isaac. Lexi Graves is going to be there, so we'll all be there for the Q&A. And I'm working on a very special guest to host the Q&A, so I hope it comes through. I can't say his name now, but if it comes through, it's going to be a full circle moment. It's the director of one of my favorite indie horror films. So fingers crossed that
Ooh.
he's there. He said he's in England, and he said he might be in the area. So he said contact him again on the first, and he'll let me know whether he's going to do it. So
Ooh, okay. All right.
that should be
Well,
big news coming up pretty soon.
fingers crossed on that one. And then it will be available everywhere else on the 5th of August.
Yeah.
Okie
So
doke.
from that first streaming premiere up until August when it's released TVOD, then we're
Mm,
gonna do as many theater runs as we can through there. For right now, it's just the Beverly Hills one, the premiere,
yeah.
and then we're looking into doing one here in my hometown where it was filmed. We're gonna do a little screening at the local theater and then a little after party at the local bar.
I mean, that
So
makes sense, right? Bring it back
yeah,
to home, eh?
yeah.
So that, yeah, that would be nice to do that for sure, for sure. Okay. So, like, go to some other festivals, Fright Fest and things like that, possibly.
Well, I'm just taking this straight to the fans instead of trying to go to the festivals.
Okay.
I entered it in some major festivals, but the ones I entered it into, all the films that they chose were over $1 million
Ah,
budget.
right,
So
right.
I shot a little too high with the festivals. So I decided, once we got a distribution deal and it's from this Bloodstream TV, it's kind of a up and coming,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
adding a lot of new titles and stuff. So I figured I'd go with that and just see where it takes us. I really wanted to go on a growing platform like that.
I mean,
So we could,
Shaqi is great. Shaqi Benson, who created Bloodstream, he's got like Entertainment Group, The Horror Collective, and
yeah,
so many great films, right? He's worked on and helped out so many great films. So, Bloodstream is definitely an interesting, great opportunity because there's so much you can do with it, right? You can create playlists, which is, like, I think when you're struggling, you go on Prime, you go on Netflix sometimes and Disney, and you're like, what am I gonna watch? Right. But if, maybe a director that you really like their films and they've got a playlist of stuff, you'd be like, oh, let me, I like that guy's stuff. I trust them. Let me check their stuff out. Or, you watch a film, you really like it, and you see it's part of someone else's playlist, then
yeah,
it gives you ideas, right? So it's just the way that they are kind of curating the watching experience, right? And then they've also got a kind of a tie-in to cinemas as well. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great platform to kind of, you know, jump onto, right? To
yeah,
get your film out there.
and honestly, I'd rather it be on a platform like that rather than Netflix or Amazon Prime just disappear with the rest of their stuff.
Mm.
I'd rather it be on a well curated thing, like you said, with playlists on it. They're trying to do something a little different. They're mixing true indies in with it, not just
Yeah.
not just from smaller studios. They're putting true indie films on there, and they're doing well with those titles as well.
Mm. No, definitely. So yeah, no, that's definitely a great thing. And also, right, I think gosh, it was for what is it? The last Jay and Silent Bob film, right?
Oh
Kevin
yeah,
Smith went just on a tour with it. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like he didn't just throw it into cinemas kind of thing. He went around screening it, doing Q&As at every screening, and had a huge success with that. So it's just like there's other ways of doing this.
yeah,
Yeah, right? So I just think that your kind of thought of, yeah, let me just bring it to the fans. That works, man. Like,
yeah,
you know, and it's different, right? And it gives people a different viewing experience, because I think one thing, you go to the cinema, you watch a great film, and sometimes you want to talk about it, right? You want some
yeah,
insight about it, you know, but there's not always an interview with the director or cast. There's not always, you know, sometimes you're just going to the cinema on your own, right?
yeah,
Like, so you don't get the opportunity to talk or hear about it. So if you know, oh, there's this film I really want to watch, and there's a Q&A, yo, sign me up, man. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
always
yeah,
great,
yeah.
man. So that would, yeah, no, man, that will be awesome. Outstanding. So, how can people, Michael, find out about potential screenings and special, you know, film hosts and all of this malarkey?
Do you just go on the Facebook, Instagram, or any of those, and just type in the name of the movie, and it'll pop right up, and hashtag the dead place. So I have the news up and link to buy tickets and everything. So all the latest screenings will be up on there and everything. So just look for us on social media, the Dead Place movie.
Awesome, awesome. And yourself, right? How can people, you know, keep track of everything you're doing, help fund you with next projects and all of that stuff? Let them know, man.
You can look on Michael Pickle on Facebook, and on Instagram as Mike Pickle 33.
Outstanding. So, obviously, right? This is just about to drop, so you know, soak all of that in, right? Just live that experience, man. You only get one, you know, debut feature, so man, just you ride that wave. But there's once people watch it and they'll be like, "Oh, it's part of a trilogy. When's the next part?" Right? So, when could people possibly get a part two? Is there kind of anything in mind that, you know, in an ideal world will start, you know, pre-production in?
Well, I would say we're gonna look and see how the streaming premiere goes on on June 1st, and then the screening, the red carpet on June 10th. And I think around mid-June is when I'm going to decide whether to jump into it. So if it comes out, we have a good response, I'll probably jump right into pre-production, and we'll probably be filming before the end of the year.
Aha.
But
Okay.
you know, you never know what's going to happen. So it could be a longer, harder road. But if that
Mm.
happens, then I'm there for it. I'm here for whatever it takes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, we've just had those two 28-year later films. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that was a while after the last one. So sometimes, you know, there's a gap, right?
yeah.
You know?
I'm hoping the I'm hoping the low budget indie horror world is starving for a new franchise and hope they'll latch onto the Dead Place. Because I've
Wow.
got a lot of story to tell.
Okay. Well, I think sometimes it's just letting people know that, right? That there's more, right? That this is fertile ground, right? That you're
Yeah.
building a universe. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just letting people realize that, you know what I mean? If you come, if you watch, if you stream, you're helping opening the door to something larger. Yeah. And
And
have you thought about like other ways to extend the franchise, other ways to build interest, right? Like you know, a comic book prequel, you know what I mean? Just a web comic, or like different things that possibly you could do that help build momentum.
I probably would continue the stories of the entity, like other people that he's manipulated. But I think with the Dead Place world, I think I'm gonna end with part three. But you never know. I could finish part three, and I could keep following the Catherine character through her journeys. But I'm just focusing on that trilogy right now.
Mhm.
And I have so many other films and other ideas. I have one Voodoo Village that I just wrote with my production partner a while back, and and I actually wasn't sure, 100% sure until recently because the Dead Place was such a challenge, and because I was so beaten up to make it. I was thinking, is this it? Am I gonna make part two and three? But then the other day I was in a coffee shop with my wife, and there's this the I have the ending of part three, the ending of the entire trilogy. It's already written, but I've always liked it. I never thought it was like a holy shit ending that would end this epic trilogy.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in the coffee shop, and all of a sudden the end of the movie of part three started playing out in my head. And things started happening that I had never thought of before. And I started crying right there in the middle of the coffee shop. It was this The ending played out before my eyes, and I couldn't believe it. And I had an ending that it gave me chills through my entire body. So I felt like it was a gift given to me right there, and just showed me, okay, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm gonna finish this trilogy. I don't care what I have to do.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, no, follow the passion. You know what I mean? Just look, you started this thing, so just yeah, keep going, right? If you
Yeah.
can overcome losing a DP, losing an editor, right? If you can make a 12-day shoot work, right? If you can overcome all of these hurdles, that you gotta do the whole thing now, man. You gotta stick
Yeah.
with it. You gotta make it work.
No choice now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you tease people, so you know what I mean. You gotta follow through, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, no, I'm sure this is gonna be great for you, man. Just the fact, you know what I mean. So many people talk about like doing things, but never do, never follow through. Right? The
Yeah.
amount of times I've had conversations and people like, oh man, I really want to be a DJ. I really want to be a producer. I really want to be. And you'd be like, oh, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, well, I haven't done that there. I haven't started that there. And you're like, okay, okay. Right? You might run into them a few months later and be like, how's it going? You're like, oh, well, you know, I kind of got sidetracked because I decided to, you know, take up yoga and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. You know what I mean? And so it's just like when people actually follow through on the thing, man, you gotta keep it going, man. You gotta keep it going, right? Because
Yeah.
you are part of that 1%. You are part of the people actually doing it, you know, and I think that's a huge thing.
And there'll be a million reasons to quit along the way, and
Oh, there's
a million
always,
million times
always.
where you feel like you want to quit, but you you don't want to live with that regret.
No, and it's just momentary. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, because there's always gonna be those days where you wake up and you're just like, you know what, I don't need this hassle. You know what, like this is just, is it worth it? Right? Are people paying attention? Are they listening? Are they watching? Are they interested? I think everyone gets hit with those doubts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, it was funny. It was I mean, like after all the films Kevin Smith did, right? So Marvel, he was working with Marvel on some comic books, right? And there was a Daredevil miniseries. I think it's Daredevil Target that never got finished, right? And when he's talked about it, it's like I kind of panicked. I got like, I wasn't sure if people wanted the rest of it,
Yeah.
right? So it's just, if someone like Kevin Smith can have doubts about, you know, his ability to tell a story, you know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna have that thing, but it's just
Yeah.
about, you know what I mean, just pushing through it, because you might feel that way for a day, an hour, 2 days, a month, right? But it will pass. And
Yeah.
sometimes, even if it hasn't passed, right, you just start the process, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm so fucking glad. Like the amount of times when I'd get home from work and be like, oh, I don't want to go jujitsu today, man. It's just been such a shitty day. But you drag yourself there, and the minute you put your foot on the mat, you're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. And you're just like, man, I can't believe I nearly didn't come tonight. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's just that perseverance, right? It's just pushing yourself past that point, and it all then becomes worthwhile,
Yeah.
right? So you've started this story, you've started your feature film journey. You know what I mean? You've started to whet people's appetite with this thing, right? You've brought in new talent. You've given opportunities to veteran talent. Man, you have to keep it going now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to keep it going, man. But yeah, just enjoy this experience, man. Like 1st, 10th, and the 5th of August. Whoo! This is gonna be a fun ride for you, man. This is gonna be a fun ride.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank you as an interviewer as well. This has been a very insightful interview, and you really know your stuff. You surprised me quite a few times.
Ah, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's very nice of you to say. But yeah, like when you are ready with the next ones, uh, we will sit back down for a continuation.
All right, be happy to.
Awesome, man. Awesome. But yeah, again, let people know how they can keep track of everything.
Let's check it out. Check us out on social media, The Dead Place Movie, or Mike Pickle 33 on my personal social media, and to get all the updates, future theater dates, and all that, and the sequel.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So, people, as you know, right? All the links will be on the webpage for this episode. So go check them out. Go follow, right? The film, go follow Michael. You know what I mean? Like, listen, when you sit at home and you go, ah, I just want something new, right? I'm tired of, you know, part 5, part 10 of some old franchise that's been going on for ages and ages. You want something new? Well, this is the opportunity to get in on the ground floor. And the only way you get a part 2 and 3 is if you know what I mean? You ride now, people. So if The Dead Place is something that has piqued your interest, something that you think, oh, that sounds like it's my cup of tea, you know what to do, right? Go follow their socials, go follow Michael, put in your calendar the 1st of June for Bloodstream, the 10th of June for the red carpet premiere at the Lumiere Theater in LA?
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. Yes. California?
Yeah.
Ah, phew. Yeah, so do that, people. And then the 5th of August, it's going to be available everywhere else. So, yeah, show your support, show your love, and that's the way you get new shit. So, do all of those things, people, and help Michael continue his filmmaking journey and telling this great story. Well, Michael, I really appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us about all of this. I've got my fingers crossed for you. I hope everything goes well. Just enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's the big thing. Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And yeah, fun at those Q&As, and you know what I mean? Just soaking in everyone, everything that they've got to, all those positive things they will have to say about your work.
Thank you so much.
No worries, man. But yeah, when Dead Place 2 is ready, we will continue things at that point.
Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for your time. Good luck with everything. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
You too. Take care.
All right. Take it easy, man.